All right, everyone. We are back for round 15, and Dr. Bing, Dave Wiegand, the good doctor himself, is sitting pretty in first place. His next challenger is going to be his neighbor just down the street in Portland, Oregon, Peter Armstrong. These two have faced off in some high pressure situations today. This one may not be quite as high pressure, but look for an absolute banger of a game between these two offensive players. What do you think, Sam? What do you think?
Yeah.
Dave's gonna win by a lot? You think Pete's gonna pull through? What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm not going to make any predictions. I wouldn't be so, foolhardy. We've seen. I mean, I've commented on three of Dave's games, and I think he's won all of them, and he's won most of his games thus far. So, but Scrabble, even Nigel loses a quarter of the time. So,
Yeah,
Dave pointing out he almost has Aerodyne,
yeah,
but but the yeah, it'll be interesting to see Dave. That I used to think of Dave as a more fast-paced player. Maybe he's not, and Pete, who is more takes longer with his. He's I don't want to say more pensive, but he's more deliberate with his
yeah,
playmaking. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting to watch. And yeah, we're still only midway through the tournament, so standings are changing every game.
yeah.
To
So
a bit of
we have to see. Yeah, I don't know when Pete's gonna show us his letters. There we go. It seemed like he was more interested in his I don't know if that was kombucha or cold brew. But regardless, Pete, in fact, has drawn a bingo to start off. Unfortunately for him, Dave has not given him a great spot to play it, but
Oh, I
nothing
see
wrong
it.
with
It took me a while.
opening up with and then all of a sudden it's just engulfed your every part of your being, right?
Exactly. And I guess it's just with sour hosts.
Yeah. Oh, and look, Dave has a blank. Haven't seen him get one of those yet. So it looks like he will quickly go back.
Yeah. Yeah. Unsteady.
Wait, I'm sorry, Coco Scrabble. That little stubby can is a LaCroix seltzer? There's no way. That would be like the bougiest LaCroix, whatever bottle I've ever seen. I refuse to believe it. I'm talking about the container that looked like there was either cold brew or kombucha in it. It looked like one of those containers. Well, I can't see the bottle next to him. I can only see him. See, there are two. See? Classic Evans.
Yes, we commentators and online spectators don't we don't get the full story of what's going on. We don't get to see the bottle next to him. So
Yeah.
we're missing out on crucial color, I guess, that Evans is providing us with
Yeah.
the LaCroix note. And he does, after a good 2-minute thing, play Ingles. Though, you want to make sure you don't have an 8-letter word through R or something.
Yeah. He was also probably debating which side he wanted to play it on. Above or below the O, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Autodyne looking pretty solid here for the good doctor.
Yeah, doubling his D.
It looks like Pete is gonna do some tile tracking, maybe have some water,
And we have a correction.
maybe some kombucha. Yeah.
For anyone who's watching along and not reading the chat, that Pete is drinking kombucha.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Again, I live kind of directly in between these two. In fact, Pete's maybe half a mile from my house, and we both love the things that our neighborhood has to offer, which is a lot of coffee, a lot of kombucha, and some beer, and also food. So I know Pete likes his booch.
Well,
What are
he's
your
showing.
feelings on kombucha?
He's showing it as we just saw
Yeah.
him sipping on it before picking up his not so great rack, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
great for the
bad.
microbiome. I mean, I appreciate any drink that provides healthy microbes. So
Yeah,
whether it's kombucha or probiotic soda or whatnot, yeah, I should probably have more kombucha, honestly.
I agree. I think you should.
And Dave finds his highest scoring play of Autodyne.
But it does not block Pete's play of Neogene. Actually, it makes Neogene a solid play now.
Yeah, 30 points there with those 4 overlaps. Not the easiest word to spot.
Dave's tile's looking good. Oh, wait. So,
And
so he
Neogene
drew.
is
Yeah, so this is going to be a big one for Pete because Dave has drawn Etordi through the T and Autodyne. But Neogene would block it, just barely.
and if he
So
doesn't
this
find
seems like it could be a
Neogene,
big one, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Because he could just play something like Agene, which is what I think what he has spelled out. Or
Um,
not spelled out, but it's why he has the AEEN separately, which is not a bad play, but not as good as what I would say is probably the best play. Pete's going to have a little think about this one. Not too much to talk about here, I suppose, for
I
a
think
minute.
he's seen
Yeah.
it. It looks like he's seen Neogene. I wouldn't be certain that it is an adjective, which it is.
Yeah, I know it doesn't take an S. I remember that from my TW all days. I couldn't tell you what the specific memory is, but I mean, these two play every week, the Portland Scrabble Club. And so
Yeah.
they know how each other plays really well. And, we see Pete beat Dave all the time. Pete, of course, himself being a former national champion in the Collins division, beating Dave, in fact, in the final decisive game back in 2015.
So you told us yesterday you've had a lot of experience playing Dave, hundreds of games during the COVID era. Do you have as much experience playing with Pete in Portland?
Not as much as Dave, but Pete is probably the person I played the second most. Oh, and it looks like Agene is coming
Oh
down.
no. We had that
Oh,
Neo.
we had Neo spelled out, but Dave is gonna escape with another bingo to an otherwise dreadful rack. Not going to take him very long to make this play, obviously. I'm surprised he's even thinking for this long, to be totally honest. And I wonder if, Pete is now going to, if he did in fact see Neogene, he's going to feel some regret. But I think right now he just wants to draw a couple consonants in bingo. And, oh, goodness.
We've seen these missed plays, missed bingos that Dave takes advantage of with his bingos, and he yesterday he had 4 in a row. Last game he had 3 in a row. He's already got 2 in a row, and well, see what he draws. Almost
Dave Wiegand.
Yeah, Dave Wiegand.
But again, maybe he'll see was for, I don't know, like almost 60
that's
points.
A big score was. So, what do you play for Pete here? Just Louis or something?
Having a little look, but God, nothing very good. You're thinking which Louis? Yeah.
His highest scoring play is 17 points.
Lordy. In that case, yeah, Louis seems pretty reasonable for some points. Oh no, that's terrible. I hate the fact that it takes out so many of the bingo friendly areas.
Yeah, it is not great for the board.
So Pete has a style of play that is, different from a lot of folks, where he's willing to make short plays, keeping a good lead to try to bingo. So it's actually, this may seem kind of crazy. It's not that crazy for him to do something like EUOI for 6, knowing his game pretty well. And I swear I did not know he was going to do that as soon as I said it.
Oh my.
But so I guess to answer your question, yes, I played against Pete quite a bit. And one of the things that really defines his game is he is okay with some risk. He's okay with some volatility. Variance is his friend. Whether or not he does that in this particular case, he's okay keeping leaves that'll go for bingos but can backfire. He's okay playing for shorter to go for the bingo. And as such, he's one of the better players at pulling off comebacks. So he's one of those people you just never, ever, ever count out.
If you're going to make a fishy play, this is sort of the time to do it, to increase your variance when you're losing by a bingo.
Yeah. But it looks like he's going to go with that suggested play of Louis. And he's going to, try again to pick up a much needed bingo, because he's down basically one. By the time Dave plays, he'll be down probably over 100. Find out here is Pete lines his tiles up, but doesn't look at him. Right now, he is in and 5 blanks, so he should have a bingo. Meanwhile, Dave, he's kind of sitting on Happy Street right now. Was, of course, not a good leave, but whatever.
Well, he's lining up Wiegand, which, that opens a triple. So that does seem inferior to was.
Well, he can play it making ZOS.
Oh, yeah.
But still, AAE ends pretty bad. Wow, and Pete is drawn BIILP.
Yeah, you need somewhere to play Bleeny or Blip or something, or Pilly.
Yeah, why isn't PBL good in Scrabble? Some Cochinita PBL for all. Oh, that is yuck. But again, we say this a lot, like, this is the difference between the best of the best and the, top experts themselves, is one little mistake can make the whole difference in the game.
It's like the Scrabble version of the butterfly effect.
Yeah. Well, perhaps unsurprisingly, Dave plays was. With how things have been going, maybe he'll draw like TR for Aranate or something. Well, he did draw 2 consonants. It's stuff like that. Like, it's a big deal for AAEEN to pick up 2 consonants. Like,
mm-hmm. Yes. Well, Pete can open a triple if he wants, though I don't know if that's a little bit too foolhardy with like Blip on the bottom left. Or I guess Blip on the top right, for that matter.
Yeah, he could still play it in the middle in that same spot where we saw Wiegand, but I don't know. Maybe he wants to open. I don't know. This doesn't feel like the safest time to open, but
yeah, maybe groom your rack for a couple of turns before you open.
Yeah.
Your point.
Lipin on top of Onery is mentioned. It is a nice way to get rid of 2 eyes. I hate keeping the B if at all possible. It'd be great to get rid of, BII or something, but I suppose can only ask for so much.
Yeah, Lipin on top of Onery and Blip on top of Onery are the Quackle's, the speedy players' top first suggestions. So, it's on the one hand you keep the B, on the other hand you score 3 more points, but you have those duplicate eyes. So, some trade-offs.
Worth keeping that spot, with the E and engulfs, etc. Right. So there's the Pete style I was talking about, playing for not that many points, but trying to keep the best lead he possibly can, give himself a chance to get back in the game sooner rather than later. What I was going to mention is by the EE spot near engulfs, that could turn into a very interesting bingo line down the road. So RE in front of that could score a bunch of points, making Raya, Pete keeping the P for Paya. Let's not sleep on that spot.
Yeah.
And sure enough, well, he drew replica there.
That would be a great play.
Yeah.
Huh. Nice. Nicely found.
Well, let's hope that Pete finds it to get back in the game. Of course, we were playing upside down Scrabble. He could play Caliper.
um,
Anything interesting for Dave here?
The Bellini, it's sort of worked out. He's gotten a good draw, but relatively. But he just blocked the S hook on A genes, which would have been I know he set up an S hook, but a worse S hook. He blocked he blocked a couple floaters, or he blocked one floater basically. It just keep lip. I guess it's his style. So there's no arguing with taste, as they say. But in Scrabble, we can certainly argue about the plays, and that just
sure.
Like he could have played Bellini on top of Onery.
Yeah.
And kept Ip anyway. But to Dave's play, I guess Dave is lined up Fa, and he is going to play it, presumably under the IE and Louis. I think he's
that
going
would
to
stand
play
a reason. Yeah. Yep. Here it comes for 30. Not going to give Pete much, but we'll see if he plays at this point. Seems like replica is a good idea. Get him some points and kind of keep him in the game. If nothing else, it's got to score what, like 50 or something?
Yes, 51. And FAE might have been an interesting play. It scores 6 fewer points, but it doesn't take any back hooks. So he's opening up an S hook to, the Louis was already open, but this is a bit more of an unobstructed S hook. So Dave was probably considering those two plays, and interesting that I'm just a bit surprised that he didn't play a bit more defensively.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Dave, Nankeen does not take an ED, because that would be a funny double-double.
Oh, wow.
Is he spelling that out? Yep, he is. There it is.
Awesome. Well, Pete has a good chance to get back in the game if he can draw an S or a blank. Maybe he can pluralize replica and play the triple word.
Yeah, although amazingly, you wouldn't think this, but replica has given Dave the ideal play for his rack as well. Just the simple EEK, making KIEL and Epee for 30-ish.
Ah, that is nice.
Saving DEAN. There are a lot of A's unseen, so not as great as maybe it could be, but we'll see if he opts for something like that, or opts for something more, doing more with the board, perhaps some defense or something. Pete, 6 tiles here, still a blank unseen, still 3 S's unseen, and hard to do too much with that replica hook. I imagine Dave isn't going to do too much with it for now. It looks like he sees Eek, which just kind of feels like exactly what the doctor ordered when you're trying to score well and keep some good tiles, which is kind of what we're trying to do, well, in almost every turn.
That's how you play Scrabble.
Yeah.
Well, Pete has an S, and he has some interesting scoring tiles to go along with it. Just one vowel on those 6 tiles. So he'll have to look to play something like Vax, or he probably wishes he could get that X down with Wex, but I don't think it's quite going to go with anything with that blank being an O.
Yeah,
So
not quite. I don't even see any really good fishes either. Well, I mean Oxo or Exo. I lied. I'm really full of it. So what
oh,
I do
Oxa.
see is a good fish is Oxo. So let's do the exact opposite of what I said and say, oh, maybe he should fish for Oxo.
Yeah, so maybe a nice time to play something like Pep. Oh, he's going to play Cod instead. Interesting.
Ooh.
So he's going to take out that X spot just in time. Well, not just in time, but when Pete has the X on his rack. And he's going to, it's interesting, keeping 3 E's. So Dave, unafraid of all those E's.
But only one E left in the bag, so he realizes the power of those E's, and even just playing off a couple will likely rattle Pete a bit as well, knowing how badly his upcoming racks are going to need that
Uh,
last precious E. You have Axe for 36, sure, but you're keeping PLRSV. What's the only thing that's going to save that? Well, an E.
yeah. He doesn't really have much to do here. Um,
No. He's just kind of down by too much, I guess, to play something small.
yeah, all of a sudden, this lead is ballooned to 130 um, after Dave's response to replica with his highest scoring play. So Conrad, you probably are more in the know about this, but 11 PJ 5 or Pajama 5 asks about Dave's study technique. So he, as far as I'm aware, he plays aerolith or studies on aerolith pretty regularly, but I don't know if he studies with other tools like Ziziva as well.
So I believe Dave learned the words using, I think it was called digital flashcards, which was something that existed before Ziziva. I think even before Lexpert.
Wow.
And these days, yeah, I think he mostly just does the Aerolith words every day, and I think that's the majority of his study these days. Gosh, nothing exciting here at all. I mean, yeah, Rex scores some points, which you need, but
Also, just
not
play Pax on top. Uh,
play what?
I mean, I'm staring at Quackle, but he could play Pax with P.
Oh, you know what's interesting is again we're saving that O. Prolix with an O draw would be really, really nice. It would score 45, open a brand new area of the board, and there's a bunch of O's left to draw. Is there a world where keep PRX, you play LAV for points somewhere? I don't know.
Um, play Labs and Fives. I mean, I don't see a good place to. It is a good
Yeah.
thought. That would be really nice.
Hmm. Hmm. Nothing's really standing out. You might have to just kind of score okay here and rebuild the rack over the next couple turns. I mean, replicas is probably staying open for the moment.
He could play Vex and just fish,
It's
which
not unlike Pete to do that. It sucks to block the E. You really want that E, but if that's the only place, I don't think you're gonna play Vax. So
yeah, it's actually the highest equity plays are Vax and Vex. I mean, in terms of like speedy player on Quackle. So with like an outdated dictionary, so this might not be the perfect information, but uh, but anyway, it's really not that bad. I mean, yeah, you have to bingo multiple times to get back in it, but I don't know. I guess I might prefer trying to play like packs or something, and then just pray you draw some vowels or racks.
Yeah. The nice thing about so you're saying PAX and PEA.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that is that you can, there's afterwards you can play back underneath, like PEA, like PEAL or something, and then open the S hook for Spiel or Spear or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a second, you could do an interesting like board
Oh,
forking threat in the future. Again, he's so far behind, like who knows? Especially because the odds of Dave playing something right above the X is pretty high. But then even then, a lot of times, that opens a new hook for you. In the case of PAX, Dave puts an N or a T up there, and you're in business with the triple lane. So
yeah. Meanwhile, Dave sitting with a bunch of, well, he still has those bunch of E's. He drew pretty well, but vowel heavy. Huh, Pete's going to go with perv. So,
I saw that a little while ago, and I meant to mention it as a play, and then I got distracted by something. So it makes sense. Like it opens another hook and saves AX, whatever, a bunch of good scoring plays. Not a bad
yeah.
idea for multi-turn, but he's just down by a lot.
Yeah, and maybe he hopes that an X bomb opens up, and so he can drop his X for decently. He has
Yeah.
not drawn very well, though, drawing a V.
Yeah, I mean Vox and Pervo. I mean, again,
Oh,
it blocks his lane, but that scores pretty well. And keeps ADLS, which, all things considered, not bad. The
Dave,
thing he really
Dave
doesn't
might
know is
want
that there's
to,
only one E unseen.
Dave might want to drop EE and perf.
He could. Wait to see. Oh, he has 19.
Oh,
He has
wow.
double. He has a double double.
Is that, yeah.
All right.
Oh, but he
Well.
doesn't see it.
Oh
Oh, wow.
no!
Great. Conrad, great find.
Wow.
He saw Nan Keened.
Goodness.
Oh, wow. Great find. Ooh, excellent board vision. That would have been the perfect play to just shut things down and score 42.
Yeah.
Instead,
Wow.
he does make a play that has no S hook, but yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah. And critically, Dave picked up an S of his own. So something like Osmate or whatever next turn will score very well and take out the scary Replica's hook. Also, kind of disappointing where Replica was played because you hope for Replicas and Repliques, which would be kind
Yeah,
of fun.
physics is fun in the chat. I mentioned that, and
Yeah.
that was a good point.
It's not looking good for Pete, but at least he'll be able to get some points here. Although, unfortunately, Vox is now blocked.
Yeah, he might have to dox Dave instead.
Yeah. It is very funny, speaking of doxing, having played, or having done a lot of Scrabble commentating over the years. So many of the folks in chat, we've known in person on and off for, well, decades now. And it's like, should I call someone by their name? Am I now doxing them?
I hadn't thought of that.
Like, I don't know. So I generally don't call people by name, but like, I don't know if I should say who Physics is Fun is. I don't know.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And they just told you to stop doxing them, so I guess I'm just
Yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
when your username anagrams to your real name, that is a bit of a hint.
that's true.
So
Well, we
I
we
don't
all
know
know
anyone.
14 Domino is Nigel Richards. We know that.
I
Muffin
don't
with
know anyone
Tentacle
named
is
like
Adam Logan.
Ziff.
Yeah. Physics is Fun is I don't know. He's probably a physician.
Or a physicist.
Yeah. I think 14 Domino is Nigel Richards. Do you agree?
Essentially. Yeah. Hey, Seth.
Oh, it's Seth. I
Yeah,
wonder.
it's,
I wonder what Seth Lipkin anagrams to. Probably a name. Oh, Nth Plisky. That's what his name must be.
wow, nice.
Oh wow, and it looks like well that's what Seth
I
calls
guess
himself. But
he's
yeah,
thought of this before.
yeah. So this sets up a great spot for Dave to play off MOA, and sure, it's busting the board wide open, but he's keeping AEST.
Would you rather play emo? I mean, you're up by 100 points.
Part of why I think you might want to is again, spread is just less of an issue in this tournament because of the
Yeah.
top four qualifying. There's no reason for Dave to kind of full court press with MOA, which he could do. I mean, it's not out of the question, but like if spread isn't going to be your ultimate goal, you're just trying to get wins as fast as you can. Why bother doing anything that gives even the most remote chance of a loss in a game you otherwise have won?
Yeah, you've got a JQ blank unseen with yeah, and just a bunch of bingo tiles. I mean, Pete is not very far off from a bingo, as we can see.
Yeah.
So you give back a 90 pointer, and then yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at the situational. We'll see what Dave opts for.
Yeah.
He's definitely
He
seen both options.
could just take MO also to keep
Um,
AAEST.
yeah, that makes the rack a bit more stable, which is
Yeah.
also a nice thing when you're leading by so much to just have a stable rack, obviously.
And NJ, I would consider that, I think, a pretty good pickup. JA can easily block replicas going forward, keeping AENST with the noms hook. But oh wait, hold on. Look at what Dave drew.
Wait, Dave?
Yeah, look at what he can play next turn.
That's better than Ja. Um,
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he has genes for like 80.
oh, wow. That's definitely better. What?
uh, I mean, fortunately for Pete, he did at least get the pity bingo of Skatol and replicas, so he'll at least get something. You can tell he's pretty frustrated right now. He does at least get a chance at another bingo, but I think you have to go ahead and take all the
Well, if
points
he's not,
now.
yeah. And if he's not sure of Skatol, he it has a nice. He can just play locates. Skatol with the C.
Yeah. Looks like Dave could use an N in space now. He's not going to get it, but the critical thing that Pete can recognize is that he just played VOE, setting up his own E. It's the last E remaining. So that blank becomes useful for Evo.
Except for he's not sure of Skatol with the C, or he doesn't know it. So he is going to play in that Evo spot.
Yeah, I think he'll have a shot at FAHS. Obviously, Dave's number one priority, barring some crazy bingo somewhere else, is to block that bottom row. which I suspect he will promptly do. Pete does quickly turn over the blank, but unfortunately, only one vowel, which seems to
Too
have been a
little.
theme for him. So, yeah, locate's obviously too little, too late, but Pete would love to maybe get another bingo down, given that he will have another chance to play off a couple tiles. So there's still 8 in the bag, I believe.
Yeah, he might not have that much time though, because Dave will play. He has, and I'm quackling now, but Miha and Tomia.
Yeah.
So he has a bunch of things on the bottom row, and there's only going to be maybe 3 or 4 in the bag for Pete. So maybe not enough to work with, because all of a sudden the bingo lines are pretty restricted.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Specifically,
going to need the S for sure.
yeah, exactly. He might just play gob and sort of, pack it in the top left.
It's possible. Because, yeah, now, unseen to us, or sorry, unseen to Pete, but seen to us, not many vowels remaining. Dave picks up a couple of them here. Pete could just be, there's what, 2 vowels, 2 more vowels Pete could draw out of the remaining 8 tiles. Now down to 4. So we'll see what Dave draws if either of those remaining vowels show up.
Yeah, there's just.
There you go. There's the A and the I, the first 2 letters.
Right. So, and there's a Q out there also. And Dave probably doesn't have a Q because he just, he could have a Q. He could have a Q and he could have just been blocking, but it's not a very bingo friendly pool.
No, this is definitely giving flashbacks to trying to come back against Colton earlier today, where Pete had kind of thrown in the towel, made a play, then drew a bingo, and Colton traded 6. But what Pete didn't know is Colton had traded 6, saving an S, but those were 6 consonants into a pool of nearly all consonants. And Pete was stuck in a very similar situation as this, where all the remaining vowels except one were on his opponent's rack, and he was pretty much drawing dead.
Yeah, so what's actually in the bag we know is GQST.
Rough.
Yeah. So
I mean, rot guts, I guess, is drawable, but not going to play.
You'd have to fish just the B.
Yeah.
So.
No
or
other hooks for fa.
DG, I guess.
Yeah. Pete getting kind of low on time here.
Yeah. He managed his time all right.
Yeah. But yeah, just another one of those games where it could have gone so differently with one play on, turn 2.
Yeah, the small differences. It's sort of like those sports they call it games of inches. Scrabble is a game of points. I don't know what's the word, like of only a few points here or there.
I don't know. I'm not seeing too much. It won't surprise me if Pete throws in the towel here.
Yeah, I mean he just can't bingo, and if he does somehow draw a bingo, Dave's going to block it.
Right. Though, yeah, looking at it now, I mean, Gob seems like a good idea. It leaves one in the bag. Obviously, we know that there's no vowels to be drawn, but the other GSTC leaves the Q in the bag for Dave, which, if we're being honest, is great for Dave because he's going to have
Yeah.
Q. He might still have QAT. He'll be able to play QI, of course. Pete, of course, being stuck with 3 T's is not the greatest ever.
Yeah, but he can probably go out in 2. I mean, he has let's say he just plays like his T and his G, and then he can play like, or his T and his T, and then he can play like Trets and Fas or Taters. He'll have their Gators in reserve at the bottom left. So depending on what Dave does. Like if Dave passed, Pete could go out in 2. I mean, and of course, just sort of playing out the string a bit, but spread does matter. And it definitely matters in the rating system. So it's
and we know that Dave Wiegand cares greatly about his Scrabble ratings.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he does. I mean, you don't.
I doubt Dave knows his Scrabble rating.
That's why
we all have like 18 Scrabble ratings these days, anyway. So
Dave's got EB lined up. I don't know where he wants to play it. Maybe he wants to just. Well, no, I don't think he wants to put that in the triple line with a Q blank ST out.
I don't think he wants to give the chance for quits. That seems like a bad idea.
Maybe he was just looking at that. I think whenever you have EB on your rack, usually it's a decent idea to think about playing it.
Always worth looking, yeah. And again, after Gob, I think Dave can safely assume there's a 25% chance the Q is in the bag.
Yeah.
Because Pete would have had to have had QAT for 36 using the blank. If you have the Q, there's probably no moving on. You would have played QI for 21.
I agree.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Dave's thinking about a play that keeps AT just in case.
So let's see. So Dave can play that QI. He can play QAT atop Miha, and he can play QI at iOS. Atop Onery. So even if he doesn't keep the AT, he can definitely play the Q if he draws it.
Yeah. And by that, that stance, assuming Pete has the blank, maybe Dave is going to try to play something by Miha, but looks like he's opting for ROW.
Oh, aggressive! Like he wants to draw a Tigi and route. I guess he can tell that there's no Q plays that hit the triple. Well, I mean, Pete could have just played SUQ. So that's interesting.
But SUQ and QAT are effectively the same score.
That's true. Yeah.
And suck keeps, I don't know, worse letters. Yeah, this is just not very exciting for Pete. I mean, obviously he's going to play pretty quickly because he's under a minute, but may just play TRATTS or something. I don't know.
I think any out in 2 is reasonable. Sorry, what word did you suggest? Pardon?
TRATTS. That's taken S. Yeah. And Rose or whatever.
Yeah, my Quackle's suggesting some interesting end games.
Well, I'm assuming it wants you to block QAT, yeah?
No.
No? Oh.
Is mine broken? It wants to play it wants to play like word like got underneath row.
Huh.
Yeah, maybe if I press championship player again, it would say something different. I don't know.
Well, Pete's gonna have to play pretty quickly here. He's only got 1 second. Dave's going to go quick himself. And Pete does correctly, or he's able to get out in time. He does sacrifice 1 point from GITE, which was probably too far away to actually go out in time.
So he actually correctly.
Yeah, I suspect so.
I mean, to go out in 1 second is pretty impressive, and he saved himself 10 points there. So
yeah,
or
the
9 points.
late, yeah, the late great defensive Steve Palatnik. I was playing him one time, and I was down to 1 second myself. And basically, as long as I didn't go over on time, made my outplay, I would win the game. And so he sits there. He's looking for plays. And after 9 minutes, in one motion, makes a play and hits his clock instantly. But I stayed. And he made a good play, but he was obviously going for the surprise factor to try to win. But I was ready and got that play down in under a second. And I was like, whoa.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's much.
But this one pretty handily won by Dave. Again, an early costly mistake for Pete, unfortunately. It looks like we're gonna have Kevin Fraley up next on board 1 against the Doctor.
Well, he has the word knowledge. I mean,
yeah.
Yesterday we saw him play body side, and he found a biograph. So, to my mind, obscure 8-letter words.
Yeah, and speaking of which, if you'll recall, we thought Pete opened with R-rated. And in the car this morning, Pete's like, you in the chat all thought I opened with R-rated. I didn't even see R-rated. I played curated.
Oh.
So the obvious spot for disobey was not actually there.
Oh.
We just never stopped to think. We just assumed he made the blank, a letter that already existed. But instead he was going for trying to make it harder to overlap. Yeah.
The first thing I saw, because I remember Pete took such a while with that, and I was thinking, I would just play curated.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think about it too long. I didn't see orated, and then I looked briefly through the ADERTU, and then I didn't see anything, and I saw, okay, curated. C is a good letter to make a blank in general.
Yeah.
And well, I guess Pete sort of thought the same thing and didn't see orated. So,
yeah. Well, speaking of curated, we hope that you've enjoyed your curated afternoon of Dave Wiegand Wins at Scrabble. We'd like to give you one more opportunity to watch Dave try to do that. So we're going to take a little break here before that final game of the day begins. And so on behalf of Sam, I'm Conrad, and we'll see you again from Seattle in just a few minutes.